Owning a home has long been considered one of the safest ways to build wealth. But for a growing number of Americans, keeping that home is becoming more difficult.
New data shows foreclosures are climbing as many homeowners struggle with rising costs that go well beyond their mortgage.
Let's bring in our chief business correspondent, Taylor Young, who has been keeping a close eye on the housing market. And Taylor, we often talk about how hard it is to buy a home, but keeping the home has actually become more expensive, right?
Yeah, I think it's clear that many household budgets are strained right now. New data from Adam shows nearly 228,000 U.S. properties had foreclosure filings during the first 6 months of the year. Now, that's up 28% from 2 years ago, up 21% from last year, and it's the highest first half total in several years. Now, what the data shows us is that many are being squeezed by the rising cost of owning a home, from insurance and property taxes to repairs and higher everyday living expenses. So I think that those numbers are a little alarming.
Yeah, and normally something that you don't really think about. If you just bought your first home, you don't think about it far down the road. So when we hear about a spike in foreclosures, people might associate that with what we saw in 2008. Yeah. Are there any similarities, and does this compare at all?
So I think that there's a big difference here. So just for context, in 2008, there were over 3 million foreclosure filings. We are nowhere near that, and I think that these two scenarios are very different. I mean, homeowners today, they have equity, they have good credit, but again, it's the rising expenses that's really the root of the problem here. In 2008, I mean, a big part of why we saw a housing crash was because of risky lending practices. So these two scenarios are very different. I do think that these numbers, while they are concerning, experts do not anticipate a housing crash or a repeat of 2008.
All right, well, that's good news. You mentioned insurance kind of playing a part in this. How big of a role does that play?
So that is now becoming one of the fastest growing housing costs, and maybe not something that people really think about when they are buying a home, right? Your first thought is, what is my mortgage, maybe my utilities? But that's again a growing housing expense. And a recent survey found that for many Americans, homeowners insurance accounts for 20% of their monthly housing costs. Add rising property taxes, utilities, repair costs on top of that. Even Americans with an affordable mortgage are finding that it's, their monthly expenses are increasing. And if you think about the people on fixed incomes, I don't think it's a surprise that we are seeing an increase in foreclosure filings.
Are there any other groups that might be more vulnerable to the foreclosure?
Yeah, it's really homeowners who are house rich but cash poor. There have been plenty of, equity that these homeowners have built over the last couple of years because home values have increased, right? But if you potentially lose a job or something unexpected happens, like an emergency, because housing costs in general have increased, just life in general has gotten more expensive, what we're finding is that more people are becoming vulnerable to falling behind on their bills. I think this is also another result or another reason why we're seeing a lot more people kind of stand on the sidelines when it comes to buying homes. I mean, they might be seeing their families maybe struggling to afford their mortgage. And again, we've talked about this before, the average age of a first-time home buyer now is 40 years old. Home prices are expensive, mortgage rates are high, and the cost of just simply owning a home is getting astronomical.
Yeah.
But we'll continue to follow these numbers. Again, that 230,000 is just from the first 6 months of this year. We'll, of course, be getting numbers as the year goes on, but something to keep a close eye on.
A lot of different factors in real estate, as always.
Sure is.
Taylor, thanks.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.